So for the last 2 chapters, we're going to take the lessons we learned and we're going to actually make a painting. I live on Maui, so I picked a picture that I've taken of a sunset, and we're going to use that as the inspiration for our painting. First thing we're going to do is do a wet on wet sky. Wet on wet sky, I'm going to take a puddle of purple, I'm going to take a puddle of pink, I'm going to take a puddle of orange to start. I'm going to have the puddles ready so that I can dip my brush immediately into them and be ready when the paper's wet. Okay, I'm going to think about 3/4 of the paper as the sky. I've got my flat wash and I've also got my 2 rounds. I'm going to take my flat wash brush, I'm going to dip it in the water, I'm going to wet the paper so that the water is absorbing into the paper. One of the things I think really shows beginner paintings is when you use the paper and it's not fully wet and it's not fully dry and you get watermarks. To me, that is a telltale sign of a beginner watercolor. So it's important to understand how wet your paper is and when to continue working wet on wet. Shake off the excess, and we're ready to go. So let's take the bigger of the 2 round brushes, dip it into our purple. I want the purple right at the beginning to be as dark as possible, so I'll add a little bit more blue to it. Now I'm going to just run the brush over the area. Look at that. Love it. I'm going to think about where clouds are going to be. I'm going to maybe add a little bit more alizarin crimson to that in areas. Just have fun. Don't worry about it so much. Move the paper back and forth like we've done so many times. Now I'm going to take my pinkish color, just kind of run it around. Oh, look at that. The bottom here, I'm going to use a little bit of that orange, just like the sun is just setting into the water. Look at them all bleed into each other. I could add more color if I wanted it more intense. I could take my brush and run it across it if I want it to get a little bit wetter or a little bit lighter. And now, watch how I'm going to create a cloud. I'm going to take my paper towel, just going to dab. Look at that, just going to dab. My paper is still wet enough that I can continue working. Could always go back in, dab it some more. Kind of set up some cloud shapes. Keep it really dark at the top and really lighten it up as we move down. Let's add just a little bit more pink right around there. Look at that. Now it's important to just have fun with this. This is one of the funnest things to do in watercolor. Have fun, don't worry about how it comes out. You're not going to get the best painting every time you go. It's going to take a lot of trial and error to come up with a painting that you're satisfied with. It's important that you continually practice and not judge it too much. I actually really like that sky right now. I'm going to use my hair dryer to solidify it. It's going to be so important that it's completely dry. I can feel a little bit of moistness here. I'm going to keep on going. Now that it's completely dry and I've got a watercolor wash as my sky, I'm ready to move on to the foreground.